Hall of Fame game, and I know you've written an article about this. So what do you think the three big storylines are for the Browns and Jets game? This is again an article you wrote for Dog Pound Daily.
Well, as it comes down to a key area, like when you're looking at a game like this, you're going to be seeing the bottom 2/3 of the roster. There's not really much to ascertain about the starters, so you kind of have to shift your focus down. And when I look at it, I think you're going to look at the backup running back spot. And in a perfect world, Nick Chubb takes over 80% of the snaps, and we're not really worried about the backup. But this in a perfect world, and your backup could be a starter in one play, so they have to be confident in Jerome Ford. And I think you're going to see a massive dose of him this preseason. I don't know how much you're going to see of him in this first game. I think you're going to see a lot of Demetric Felton, which is something else that we need to flesh out. And I think he kind of has an advantage here because you might see him play with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, which was his quarterback in college, who leaned heavily on Felton in the passing game, which is exactly what we need to see out of Felton because that's the role he'll be playing for the Browns. So that's one area I need to look at. The second area I want to say is interior offensive line. We don't really know what the pecking order is in the depth chart behind the starters. You got all 5 starters returning, and you know who the swing tackles are going to be. That's going to be Hudson, and it's going to be DeJuan Jones. Kind of leaves the interior. And we don't also know if they're going to keep 10 offensive linemen or kick that down to 9. We keep hearing they want to keep 7 receivers. Well, that squeeze is going to come somewhere, and it could be the offensive line. You got 2 backup centers in Harris and Weipler. They're not going to keep both. It just doesn't make any sense unless one of those 2 can give you guard versatility, which might flesh itself out. And these are the kind of games we're going to get to see. And then you got 2 guards in Drew Forbes, who they're high on, and Michael Dunn, who we've seen play in some high leverage situations, who are perfect backups. Well, they might only keep 1. That is a strong possibility. And then you have 2 other backup guards who are starting. They're NFL caliber linemen. It's just going to be a numbers game. So I'll be paying a lot of attention to the interior offensive line. But then it comes down to, like, when you don't have first-round picks, you always seem to treat your second and third-round picks like they're first-rounders. Well, for the Browns, they had 2 third-round picks. That's going to be the first guys off the board. We get a chance to actually see them in action. We talked about him earlier, but to see Tillman out there playing with backup quarterback, seeing if he's expanding his route tree and seeing how he making plays on the ball, if he's able to get in the end zone, these are huge steps for him. Ick is the important one, though, because he gets to display his physicality. And that is something that you really don't get to see in practices. You might get to see some in the joint practices, but we won't be privy to those. So this is the action we get to see. Can you be physical at the point of attack? Can you collapse pockets? Can you stop the run? These are huge elements, and this will be our first chance to witness them. And a bonus for both of those players is because of their size, you're not going to have to look for jersey numbers. You're going to know if they're on the field.
And you know what? So no practice tomorrow in training camp. They'll kind of go through a walkthrough and back it off. Then Thursday is game day. So getting there to see the Browns back on the football field.